And this is a terrible mistake. This is a big grammar no-no. You do not want to send pieces of writing to your teacher with... Hello, I am Catalyn and welcome to English with Cat Presents. Today we're going to be talking about a tricky, difficult piece of advanced English grammar. Now this video was a viewer requested video, so thank you to you guys who asked for it. And don't forget, if there is a particular topic that you find difficult, just tell me in the comments down below or on my social media and I'll make a video all about it just for you. Anyway, back to the topic of our video. Today we're going to be learning about clauses. Now, you may not realize how important clauses actually are. In English, if we didn't have clauses, we wouldn't be able to make a single sentence. And this is why it's so important for you to learn them and to know how to use them correctly. So let's get started with the video. First, let's talk about what a clause is. In its most basic sense, a clause is the part of a sentence which has a subject and a verb in it. If you aren't sure what a subject or a verb is, please go and watch my parts of speech video before this one. In English, we have two main types of clauses. Our first is an independent clause, also sometimes called a main clause, and our second type is a dependent clause, also sometimes called a subordinate clause. Clauses can also function as nouns, adverbs, and adjectives, but I'll talk about this in the second half of this video after we've learned what independent and dependent clauses are. We'll first talk about independent clauses. So we already know that a clause is the part of a sentence which has a subject and a verb in it. And an independent clause is no different. It still has a subject and a verb. But what is so special about an independent clause is that it can make a complete sentence on its own. And if we think about it, this actually makes sense, because the word independent means that something can support itself without outside help from anything. An example of an independent clause is dogs love bones. In this sentence, our subject is dogs and our verb is love. And when I say this independent clause on its own, it makes a complete sentence. Dogs love bones. Every single sentence that we make in English, whether that is in our speaking or in our writing, must have an independent clause. And another great thing about independent clauses is that we can join two or more together using coordinating conjunctions. Some examples of these are and, but, or, and so. For example, dogs love bones, but they can't eat chocolate. In this sentence, we have two independent clauses and they're joined by the coordinating conjunction but. And this type of sentence is called a compound sentence. Our second main type of clause that I mentioned earlier is a dependent clause. This kind of clause still has a subject and a verb, but unlike an independent clause, it can't make a sentence on its own. And now you might be starting to realize why we call them independent and dependent clauses. Because the word dependent means that something needs help from another thing to support itself. So a dependent clause always needs a little bit of help from an independent clause to make a complete sentence. For example, dogs can't eat chocolate, otherwise they'll get sick. In this sentence, dogs can't eat chocolate is our independent clause from our previous example, and our dependent clause is otherwise they'll get sick. Now you can see how if I just say otherwise they'll get sick doesn't make a complete sentence. It leaves us with a lot of questions. Who is they and why are they getting sick? So this is why we always need an independent clause to go with a dependent clause to make a complete sentence. A sentence that has an independent and one or more dependent clauses is called a complex sentence. When we have a dependent clause that is on its own as a sentence, This is called a dependent sentence fragment, and this is a terrible mistake. This is a big grammar no-no. You do not want to send pieces of writing to your teacher with dependent sentence fragments in them. This is a big grammar mistake. So always make sure that you back up your dependent clauses with independent ones. Okay, so now we know the two main types of clauses in English. Now let's look at how we can use those as nouns, adverbs, and adjectives. But before I teach you that, make sure you hop down there and hit that like and subscribe button if you've been enjoying this lesson so far. Let's first take a look at how we can use clauses as nouns. Clauses that we use as nouns in a sentence are surprisingly called noun clauses. Wow, very creative, I know. An example of a noun clause in a sentence is, I can't remember what it is that dogs can't eat. In this sentence, our noun clause is what it is. This is still a clause as we have our subject, it, and our verb, is. And this clause functions as a noun in this sentence, as we're talking about it's that specific thing that dogs can't eat. And that thing is, of course, chocolate. We're essentially replacing the noun chocolate with the noun clause what it is. We can also use clauses as adverbs, and these types of clauses are called adverbial clauses. And as the name suggests, they can do anything that an adverb does. And just to refresh your memory, an adverb helps us explain when something happened, where it happened, why it happened, how it happened, and under what circumstances that happened in. For example, the sentence, so that my dog doesn't get sick, I don't feed him chocolate. The adverb clause in this sentence is so that my dog doesn't get sick. This adverbial clause explains the why of our verb feed. Why won't I feed him chocolate? So that he doesn't get sick. And the very last way that we can use a clause is as an adjective, and these are called adjective clauses. Again, just to refresh your memory, an adjective is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. An example of a sentence with an adjective clause in it is dogs who eat chocolate get sick. In this sentence, our adjective clause is who eat chocolate, because it describes the subject of that sentence, dogs, which is a noun. Phew, that is the end of our lesson on clauses. They can be a pretty difficult piece of advanced English grammar, so well done for getting through that. If you need to, go back through this video a little bit slower and come up with your own examples of each of the different types of clauses. That will definitely help you remember them. Again, thank you to you guys for recommending this video. If you haven't already, please just go down there and hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel as well if you want to see more of my videos. Before I go, if there's a thing about English that you find really confusing and you just can't get your head around it, please tell me in the comments down below or on my Instagram and Facebook, and I will make a video on it to teach you and everybody else who likes to watch my videos. See you guys later. Bye!